Hi, in today's lesson we will continue looking at relative clauses and more specifically the use of prepositions in relative clauses. But before we start, if you like my channel, please subscribe and on your mobile tap the bell to accept notifications, as it really helps my channel grow and that way I can keep teaching you English. So, prepositions in relative clauses. This is an advanced topic, so hold on tight and here we go. We can use prepositions at the beginning or the end of a relative clause. So firstly, let's look at the prepositions at the beginning of relative clauses. For example, this is the book in which I write. So the relative clause is in which I write. The preposition in is used here at the beginning of the relative clause, which is the relative pronoun. This is a formal style of writing, good for your essays to impress those examiners. When we put prepositions at the beginning of a relative clause, we use which, not that. For example, a bookcase is a frame on which books are placed to read. So here we have the preposition on at the beginning of the relative clause, and therefore we use which and not that. It's not a frame on that books are stored to read. No. Also, when we put prepositions at the beginning of a relative clause, we use whom and not who. For example, a lot will be expected from footballers to whom a lot is paid, not footballers to who a lot is paid. No. There are some prepositions which we only use at the beginning and not the end of relative clauses. So the preposition during is only used at the beginning of relative clauses. For example, the 60s was a period during which many people wore flowery clothes, and not a period which many people wore flowery clothes during. And the preposition after is only used at the beginning of relative clauses. For example, midnight is the time after which students are not allowed to leave, and not midnight is the time which students are not allowed to leave after. Other prepositions we only use at the beginning of relative clauses are because, before, below, and besides. So now let's look at prepositions at the end of relative clauses. Going back to our first sentence, if we put the preposition at the end of the relative clause, we get, this is the book that I write in. By putting the preposition at the end of the relative clause, the register is more informal and often used in speaking. So the relative clause is that I write in. Here the preposition in is at the end of the relative clause. So in the second sentence you can see that when we put the preposition at the end, we usually use the relative pronoun that or no relative pronoun. So let's look at two more examples. There were clean, comfortable beds that we slept in. So here we're using the relative pronoun that, and the preposition in goes at the end of the clause. Or let's look at an example with no relative pronoun. Your opponent is the person you play against. Here the preposition is at the end of the relative clause, against, and there's no relative pronoun. We always put the preposition at the end of a relative clause after a phrasal verb. For example, to lose weight, there were certain foods, which is optional here, he had to cut back on, and not foods on which he had to cut back. Or, she is the actress who or whom I've always looked up to, not the actress to whom I've always looked up. Okay, so now it's your turn. There are some mistakes in the following sentences. Can you correct them? Stop the video and see if you can find them. Number 1. A deadline is a point in time when you must complete something before it. The answer is a deadline is a point in time before which you must complete something. Remember, before is one of the prepositions we only use at the beginning of a relative clause. 2. A role model is a person you look up to, him or her. The answer is a role model is a person whom or who you look up to. Remember, we always put the preposition at the end of a relative clause after a phrasal verb. 3. A telescope is a piece of equipment you look through it to see things that are far away. You know what to do. Write your answer down below and I promise to give you feedback on your answer. Please like this lesson if you found it useful and turn notifications on and on your mobile phone too, so you don't miss out on any new lessons. Take care and see you very soon. Bye-bye.